Okay, y'all, how you doing today? Okay, instead of looking at me, look at this. Isn't that cool? Neat old Craftsman toolbox. Gonna be putting some tools in it. So, but right now it's dirty. But we need to talk about a few things. Okay, I'm gonna set you all up so you can see what I'm doing. I'm gonna reverse this camera. And we need to talk about tools and tool storage, but we also need to talk about my previous project, okay, with the 239 V6. Now, in the previous video, I went and I made an adapter for that V6. And unfortunately, it didn't work as well as I'd hoped. Now, as far as being an adapter that adapted a carburetor to a manifold, it did that part. That part it did. Okay? It did that part pretty well. However, it being a manifold that sealed to the intake, yeah, it didn't do that part. That part it didn't do too well. I'm just cleaning this here with like this old oily rag, and I've already sprayed this down with some fogging oil, a marine fogging oil, just to like use. See, this thing is rusty, so I don't want to use like, you know, some sort of harsh cleaner, because I don't want to damage any kind of the paint that's in here. Alright, and you know, there is rust in here, so what I want to do is I want to protect the metal and keep it protected. But the yeah, so the adapter wasn't that great. Okay, so alright, that, you know, it wasn't perfect. Okay, but you know what? What is? That's what I say. Because, you know, there's a lot of things and there's a lot of times where people will try to verbally attack you on different things, different items. And they'll try to attack you about a lot of stuff, criticize you. And honestly, it's frustrating when people do that. I don't understand why people feel the need to do that. I guess maybe they're not very successful at the things they try or attempt. And so they feel some sort of justification. They feel justified in doing what they do. I myself, I think it's kind of crazy. I think that's a situation where you're not paying attention to what you're doing. You're paying attention to what somebody else is doing. You know, the old saying, mind your own business and you won't be minding mine, holds true. So, but, furthermore, get this sprayed down in here and all. Furthermore, something else is also, if you're, just a little note here, if you're buying this to like put in use as fogging oil in any engine at all, I wouldn't use it, because this stuff does evaporate, and it evaporates at a pretty good rate. pretty quickly. I mean, maybe you've used it and you've had better success with it than I have, but I got the stuff for free, and I'm glad I didn't, so that makes me happy I didn't buy it. So, anyway, being a little critical there, I do realize. But, you know, like I was saying about some folks, they will, they'll try to criticize you or pick you apart because you did something, and you know, maybe you weren't like 100% successful, but hey, you know what? There's a lot of people out there who are very successful people. They'll do something, and then all of a sudden, it doesn't work out that well for them. Okay? So, there you go. I mean, I think Thomas Edison, he had figured out several dozen different, he figured out like what, I don't want to quote an exact number, but the number was pretty high on how many different ways he figured out on how to not make how many different ways to not make a light bulb. How many different ways that would not succeed. So, you know, that gives you some idea. Okay? Although he was known for, like, you know, taking ideas or inventions that his people that worked for him, taking those inventions and claiming that they were his. Now, why? I feel like that's kind of like, I feel like that's not really right to do that to people, but that's what he did. This toolbox, by the way, was given to me by a friend many years ago. I've just never used it, never needed it necessarily. It's a little bit, it was a little bit on the small side, and it's actually going to be a little bit on the big side for what I'm going to do with it. So, I know I could use some sort of cleaner, but again, I don't want to be too aggressive on the paint on this. But yes, the adapter did work in adapting the carburetor to the manifold, but the adapter did not work as far as like sealing to the manifold and to the carburetor, because you could actually pour gas into the carburetor and it would leak out. So, yes, not exactly what I would call a you know, perfection. You know? Okay, but hey, you know what? Failure is just an opportunity to improve. See where you failed. Okay? Notice where you failed and move forward from there. Okay? That's what that is. That's what failure is. So, you know, and you know, something else to keep in mind too, there's a lot of people, they'll say, oh, well, I've never failed doing that, or I've never failed doing this. You know, those sort of statements. I don't like it when people say that sort of stuff, because honestly, it's a lie. It's either A, they're lying, or B, they really have never done anything in their entire lives. Because if you do stuff, you'll fail. You will fail. So, when you're working on these vehicles and stuff, failure is going to happen. Okay? Now, that particular failure with that adapter, hey, you know what? I own it. And that's something else too. When you make a mistake, just go ahead and just own it. Okay? Don't be a child. Be an adult. You know? Don't be a child unless you actually really are a child. Okay? But if you really are, if you're not a child, then it's probably a really, really good idea. You know, if you're an adult, it's a very good idea. You mess up, just own it and go on. Because nothing is more disgusting, more disheartening than to see some sort of adult trying to lay the blame off on somebody else, or lay the blame off on certain conditions, using excuses and all sorts of things. It's just unnecessary. I mean, just be an adult. Okay? That's all I'm talking about. So, yeah, the adapter was failure. However, I think I've came up with something that I can use. I think I can use this. This is actually one of the gaskets, throttle body gasket from a 90 model Dodge. So I think what I'm going to do is I think I can drill into this and tap this to tap so I can put studs in this for a carburetor. I should have done this to begin with. But hey, you know what? You got to learn. So that's what I'm going to do. So anyway. Oh, yes. And like I was saying the other day about the little felt that goes in the distributor, guess what? I found it. So there we go. Alright, so I found the felt for the distributor. But I want to talk to you about tools a little bit, and it's this thing away. Okay. I want to talk to you about tools. I want to talk to you about tool storage and things like that. Now, when you have metal toolbox like this, a good idea is to get yourself some sort of towel like this. Okay? It can be an old bath towel, old beach towel. If you can, you know, get like the old hand towels from somewhere. Those work really well too. I've got like a few here. What I like to do is I like to take these guys and I like to put them in the bottom of these metal toolboxes. Reason being, that keeps the metal of the toolbox separate from the metal of like your wrenches, sockets, hammers, everything like that. Okay, so that way they're not like all of that metal to metal contact. And when this is in your vehicle and you're going down the road, those tools ain't in here beating around, banging around in here. Yes, you can go in here and probably paint the inside of this with some sort of bed liner coating or something like that. That would be a nice idea. May do that someday. But for now, I'm just going to do that. Yeah, I'm just going to use that towel right there. So, but tool storage. Now, these racks like this, some people like them, like me, and then some folks do not. But let me explain why I use them. Two reasons. One is I can keep things arranged and organized. Okay, so let's say, see right here, these are all standard. Now, I can keep these arranged and organized, and I've got all of these arranged here, and I can see exactly what I have. And if one of them is missing, I'm like, wait a minute, I need to look around my work area and see where that other socket is. Okay, and then oh, there it is, I found it, and I can put it back. Okay, so it helps me keep track of all of the sockets, stuff like that, instead of having these loose flopping around. Now, a lot of tool companies A lot of tool companies will have you using something like these. These aren't bad either, but here's the problem with these. If this turns over on its side, the sockets come out. Okay, so I'm not that crazy about those. But these racks like this are really, really nice. This is a cheap Chinese one right here, and even these work pretty nice. So they have the little ball in them that like you would find on the ratchet, and the socket just fits down on there. So there you go. That's a nice little idea to store your tools. These are kind of a takeover from the old metal ones that we had for like forever. I'll show you. I've got some over here. I've got one over here. I used to have bunches and bunches of these. See, this is a metal rack. You would put your sockets on. Okay. See, I've got more of them plastic ones, but these don't have any of the clips on there. I've got to get more clips they just slide on, and then I can put my sockets on there. Okay, but anyway, see, now that also sounds better too. It gives a little sound insulation. Okay, but if any moisture gets in here, the towel will soak it up. But then, of course, I need to get the towel out and then dry the towel out, dry the toolbox out. But you know, hopefully you don't get any moisture in there. So, but yeah. So I like using these racks. Now you may like using these, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, they're pretty nice. You know, but me, I'm just a big fan of these racks. I've had like forever, and so I'll be buying some more of them pretty soon. So there you go. Okay. But anyway, I've got work to do. I'm going to be putting all of this stuff in that gray toolbox over there that I've just been cleaning up. You saw me clean up. And okay. And another thing is too, is these tool trays like this, these things are like gold. I mean, I love these because they are so durable and sturdy and useful. You can, you know, they go down in there, you know, when you get done, you just pull this out with your tools in there. You can walk over to what you're working on. You can set this down, and then you're ready to go. Okay, you can start working. All right, you're not running back and forth, you know, 100,000 times trying to find something. Okay, so, you know, running yourself to death. Now this one here, this tray here was made by somebody somewhere. I got it from a friend of mine. He was cleaning out his basement, and I saw that. He was going to throw it away. I said, well, can I have that? And he said, yeah, sure, man, take it, get it out of here. You know, so I did, and there you go. This wooden one down here is actually pretty cool. I try not to use it a whole lot because I don't want to beat it up. It actually has some pretty neat writing on the end, printing on the end of it. I don't know if you can, Austin Powder Company, I think that says Cleveland, Ohio. Yeah, that buddy of mine, he has it on both ends there. Yeah, that buddy of mine, he used to live up there, but it says 50 pounds up there. So, but this thing is pretty old, I would imagine. So I try not to use it a tremendous amount with really super heavy stuff. So there you go. The bottom of it was rotted out. It had been in a basement and had gotten wet, so I put this on the bottom. I know it isn't perfect, I'll admit, but you know what? It's good enough. Maybe one day I'll put something thinner on there, something much more like this here. Something much more like that, thinner like that. Matches. But anyway, it does a fantastic job, and I love it. Okay, I'm going to get busy, get working here, and so think that's pretty much going to be the end of this video here. Okay. So, oh, just a couple of little updates about the 239, which I'm calling now. I'm calling it now I'm calling it the 239 because it's free. 239, 239, 239. You get it. Come on. But anyway, yes, I'm going to be calling it the 239. And but if you got any questions, comments, ideas about it, you know what to do. Put them down below. I'll try to answer all your questions and everything about it as best I can. Or any of the other videos for that matter. Also, furthermore, I'm going to be putting the exhaust manifolds on that engine. Of course, a different carburetor adapter. And I'm going to get rid of that wooden one. Probably go to a smaller carburetor too, most likely, because that one is just, it's like a 350 CFM or so, and then the one I want to put on there is more like about 235 CFM or something like that. It's much smaller. So, all right, thank you very much for watching, and as always, I do appreciate it. I also appreciate everybody for subscribing. Also, I appreciate everybody for commenting, and your comments and your questions and everything. It's just really wonderful. I do appreciate that. Love that interaction back and forth. So thank you very much, and God bless.